Welcome everyone to my playthrough, or a let's play, I guess, of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance for the Nintendo GameCube. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I did a little test to see my audio levels and stuff. Anyway, delete that. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is a great game. It was the first console Fire Emblem game. We'll do normal. It was the first console Fire Emblem game, and it was also, as far as I know, could be wrong, the first game that had a direct sequel. So, this is Ike, the main character, and his father. Ike is one of my favorite protagonists of the Fire Emblem series. Like, a lot of people like Chrom, a lot of people like Marth and Roy, but for whatever reason, be it nostalgia, I don't know, for whatever reason, Ike is my favorite. Ike is an amazing character in my opinion. He literally starts out from the worst of the worst, and through the events of this game and the sequel, he becomes undoubtedly one of the strongest protagonists ever in Fire Emblem history. Yeah, he just got hit in the back and he got knocked out cold. I don't know how that works. Whiplash, I suppose. But yeah, I love this game. I'm excited to show it to you. That's his mom. He got hit so hard he went back to a simpler time. The person who came up to him, that's Miss. That is his sister. She's cool. I like her.
Ah, you're up. About time.
See, I don't understand that really. He's like, Mist, you're singing the song our mother sang to both of us. How did? What? How? Is a prologue. Yes, as the title suggests, we are mercenaries. We only do what we do for money. But you'll see throughout the game that we're a little better than run-of-the-mill mercenaries. I'm not gonna read what they're saying most of the time, unless it's like funny or very important. So, anyway, so she's essentially saying, "Yo, Dad fucked you up. Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, you're not. If you got hit in the back so hard you passed out, you're not okay." Yeah, she's just saying, yeah, they're practice swords, but they're still heavy. And he's like, I'm fine, let's do it. But I love this game. I actually like the sequel more. The only issue with the sequel is it's on the Wii. And the Wii doesn't play nice with real games. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to play Twilight Princess on the Wii instead of the GameCube if you have the option. And then Skyward Sword, you know, I think the real issue with Skyward Sword wasn't really the controls, because when you had the Wii Pro, the little addition for your Wii controller, it worked well. The issue, I think, is the same syndrome a lot of Zelda games had around that time, like on the 3DS and DS, where they didn't have a lot of content. Like Skyward Sword, you go against the same bosses multiple times. You go against the same enemy multiple times. And I understand from a story standpoint it makes sense, but just write it differently. That sucks. Because that was the biggest issue, in my opinion, to the Zelda game Phantom Hourglass. You had to go back to that stupid dungeon and play as Zelda like 8 times, and it was never fun once, let alone to do it over and over again. Spirit Tracks was good though. I like Spirit Tracks. Trains are cool, man. Autistic people love trains. wonder why it's such a common... I suppose they are marvels of engineering. You know, kind of a thing that wasn't broke, so they didn't really have to fix it too much. They just made it more fuel efficient and faster. Really. Okay, this is Boyd. He's like your homie. Your rival. He thinks he's your rival. He doesn't know. So his dad's like, hey, train with him. He's closer to your skill level. And Boyd's like, nuh-uh. No tutorials. Okay, so a few things that newer ones have that this one hasn't. So you see, zoom out. Every match you're going to have to do that. It doesn't save where you like to be zoomed in and out, which is not important, but it's annoying. Anyway, speed this up. Get that bitch thick. And lower the music a little bit. That shit gets loud. Okay. So this is just a tutorial. Which sucks that you say, like, I don't need tutorials. And so, yeah, it doesn't tell you how to play. But it still makes you do it. Like, see, he won't even come attack you. And then when you attack, the blue is your damage, accuracy, HP, and the red is theirs. And so it's just math. Like, Boyd is always going to deal 8 damage, no matter what, with that weapon, the practice axe. So 8 plus 8, 16. So I'll have 3 HP left if he hits me twice. But if I hit him twice, he's dead. So, like, that's how you got to use Fire Emblem. Unless there's a critical, which, see, there's a 0% chance of critical. The game plays out like you should. Kind of like how it's your own fault if you lose at chess. Obviously, it's a little more nuanced than that, but for the most part, yeah, that's the thing. Because enemies later on, they can switch the weapon they're using, which, you know, you're like, oh, so I'll survive this turn. And so you'll do the attack, you'll end your turn, and then all of a sudden he switched from a long-range weapon to melee, and you didn't factor that in to any of this, and you're like, oh, I died. Great. In the newer Fire Emblem games, they keep putting in dynamics where you can rewind time or rewind a turn. This did not have that. So you mess up and someone dies, you got to redo it if you want to keep them. Because this game also doesn't have the feature that the newer ones have, where if someone dies, they just come back later. They die, they're dead. Unless they're important for the story. Then they'll still be in the story, but you can't use them to fight. So anyway, you beat Boyd, and your dad's like, let's fight again. Let's keep training. And your sister gives you a vulnerary, which is like this game's version of a health potion. So anyway, this guy actually comes and attacks you. So we want to heal. In a perfect world, if this wasn't in training, you want to be the one who initiates combat. For 2 reasons. One, you kind of control the flow. You're going to attack first. And you get to see how it's going to play out. Because you know that's the weapon they're going to use. You know this is the damage you're going to deal and receive. And if that isn't good, you can just hit B and not do it. Because it's kind of like if you hold your finger on your chess piece, you get to take your turn back. So you want to be first. But this one, it doesn't matter. It's 1v1. If you notice, Grill, your father, and yourself have a weird sword stance. And I believe that Grill has... I know why Grill has one, and I'll explain it later. But I think Ike has a weird stance simply because he learned from his dad. Alright, when you level up, it's random what levels up. So, like that one right there, that wasn't a good level up. Wasn't good at all. He's like, you were holding back. He's like, if you know that, that means you're improving. And the Boyd's like, I wasn't trying either. A thing this doesn't have that the newer ones have, and it may turn people off if they're only used to the newer ones, there is no, like, romance options. Like, you can befriend people. There is a support system. But it's not like, oh, we made a baby, and now that baby is a unit we can use, which started in Fire Emblem Awakening. This doesn't have that. That's okay with me. I do enjoy the romance options, but sometimes it bogs you down. Like, Three Houses, if it's your first time playing Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Switch, I could definitely see a lot of people being turned off by just the sheer amount of things you can do, and you thinking that you have to do it. You don't have to do it. This is Titania. She's like the second in command. A common trope in Fire Emblem games is the character that's very strong already. And, like, the first American, I believe, the first game that came out in America for Fire Emblem, they had a character named Seth, and he was a paladin, and he was really strong. And so they give that to you to help you out early in the game, but it's a big, it's like a double-edged sword. You don't want to use them a lot early, because how this game works is the advanced classes, they get less experience than the beginner classes. So by you using them and killing enemies that your lesser or lower experienced people could have killed, you're just wasting experience. So if killing a guy would have gave you 30, but to Titania it gave her 3, 27 experience is just gone. If you think of it as like a pool. So, unless you're in danger, you shouldn't use them until later. And you can usually test it. You know, have Titania attack someone and kill someone, and she'll gain, like, 16. You're like, oh, okay, so these guys are given decent experience, so she might be able to help a little. But if you've killed someone with her and you get, like, 2 experience, you know she's just there for support. Now, the Wii version, the sequel, the Wii game, it fixes that a little by introducing a system where excess experience is put into, like, you cache it, like memory, and after the battles, you can spin that on any unit you want. So you could even have a unit who didn't help at all in the fight, but then you give them all that cached experience, and they're fine. Which is really good, and they don't use it in very many Fire Emblems, but I love it. I think it's excellent. Because you're like, hey, you know, that's too easy, you should have to grind it. Well, if a feature of a game is simply there to make the game take longer, it doesn't need to be there. You know, that's not always true, in my opinion, because, like, Pokemon games, they kind of have a thing like that, where, they introduce later, in later games, experience share for everybody. So even if you didn't participate in the battle, you get experience. And a lot of people who are used to the older games don't like that. But then a lot of people who like the newer games like it because they don't have to grind. But to someone who see Pokemon as a game where you're supposed to grind, like a traditional Japanese RPG, it just makes the game easy. Because part of the difficulty they associate with Pokemon is that grind. So if the grind is not there, it's like, okay. It's kind of like a Nuzlocke. Like doing a Nuzlocke where your weak Pokemon can get experience without risking anything kind of takes out a lot of the difficulty of a Nuzlocke, in my opinion. I get it. People don't want to spend everyone's lives are busier and busier by the year. And so I get it. You don't want to spend what precious time you have playing a game grinding. I get it. But I feel like there's a lot of games that don't have grinding. And there isn't too many anymore that do. And I feel like grinding is in and of itself a form of game, like not a genre, but an attribute. It's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people like grinding. And a lot of people, it's the bane to their existence. So I feel like what I'm saying is Pokemon, for instance, it should just be an option. The people who like grinding can have their grinding, and the people who don't cannot. Forcing you, I think, is the major issue. This is essentially another tutorial mission, and so there isn't really much to go on about. Those burly axe guys, they can destroy houses, as you just saw. And if you go to houses, you get free items, like that steel sword I got. So it's good to either kill them before they can do it, or get to the house before they can. And so since we don't want to use Titania, because these guys will give no experience, we'll use her to visit houses. Almost never is there any story really given by listening to them talk. Sometimes there is. But this is early in the game, so I'm just going to skip it. They're like, oh, thanks for helping us. That's it. As you can see, Boyd is essentially just I almost said gender swap. What's the color palette swap of the people he's fighting. And so I always feel like, Boyd, you're attacking your people. What are you doing? Oscar, if you weren't reading the story, is Boyd's older brother. He has a horsey. Pretty cool. And you will see later they have a third brother. They are a trio. Not triplets, just 3 siblings. He uses lances right now. In axe, if you don't know, Fire Emblem is essentially rock, paper, scissors. Like Pokemon games. I bring up Pokemon because I love Pokemon. Pokemon games, a lot of people discredit their battle and say it's rock, paper, scissors, yet there's so many different types and variations of each Pokemon where it's not rock, paper, scissors. Like, that's a very pedantic argument to have. Well, Fire Emblem is rock, paper, scissors, kind of. Lance beats sword, sword beats axe, axe beats lance. So there's the triangle. But it isn't like, I have a spear, you have an axe, I can't win. No, you can still win. So in that way, it's not really rock, paper, scissors. But you just get an advantage or a disadvantage. Ike is hurt, so we're going to vulnerary. There we go. And then have Oscar finish him off. Giggity. A cool thing about horse units, not only can they move far distances, as long as it's not rough terrain. Rough terrain, they can't move far at all. That's the trade-off. But not only can they move far distances, a thing they added in future games such as this one, because the series has been going on since like late 80s, early 90s. If they didn't use all their movement, they can use it. So he's really hurt, which I knew he was, but I knew I could just move after the battle was over. So, no harm. Now we're going to block off one side of Ike, just in case. So, maybe if he doesn't kill this guy, the axe guy won't have enough movement to get around and attack Ike again. So let's see. if it worked. See. Because they have an AI. It's not a sophisticated AI, as far as I'm aware. Essentially, like, you weaker attack you unless there's a unit that gets priority. So, like, an archer is going to get attacked, or a healer is going to get attacked before other units, because they're more vulnerable. But other than that, it literally goes off level, or strength. I shouldn't say level. It's how strong they are. They're going to go after the weaker unit. So you can plan around that. Okay, so early in the game, you don't have access to an inventory. So if you get too much items, you have to throw one away. So we're going to throw away the one who's been used the most. If it mattered, like if they were good items, I would have traded with people who don't have a lot of items. But I don't care. Okay, so if he attacked with Boyd, he would die the second turn. He'd take 9, then 9 again. So what you do is we're just going to end his turn in front of the guy, and then we're safe because he's only going to attack once. Is there a way to... I saw there... Animation... Game speed, there we go. I know I was missing sound. I was like, dude, we're walking slow. Oh, much better. So that's another one of the strategies to use is turn usage. They only get one turn. You only get one turn. So you're like, well, if I use 2 turns, I'll die. Well, let's just use 1 turn by making them use their turn. It's all cool. So we want Ike to get the most experience. Well, I guess you don't have to. But there is a part towards the end of the game where Ike has to fight 1v1 versus a really strong unit, and there's no way to help him in this fight. So if your Ike isn't strong enough to win that fight, you just soft-locked yourself. Because you can't train and try the fight again. If you saved before that fight, which most people do, and don't have a save to fall back on, there's nothing you can do, because anytime you start that save, it's going to start at that fight. So first time I ever played this game, I did that to myself. I really like 2 certain units, and so I got them real strong, and Ike was just kind of strong, because he has to be used in every fight. There's mandatory characters, and so he was strong, just not very strong. But ever since having to restart the game, never again. I make Ike strong as hell. Honestly, I gotta throw away another weapon, but they're just iron. They're worthless. And see, no other character can do it, so you have to waste a turn so I can seize it, and you win. Later games, that is not a thing. Anyone can seize it, which is nice. This was Ike's first mission as an official mercenary. Job well done. Everyone's just congratulating him. We saved the villagers. Easy peasy. Look at that. 20 minutes to get through the tutorial. And you're still kind of in it. Kind of. I also thought this was kind of sloppy. They make no mention of this character at all before this. And then he just shows up. He's like, oh, this is where you've been, Titania. And she's like, Reese, you sure you're well enough? So there was a sick person, or injured, got infected person, who's just been here the whole time. And they never brought it up. But they're like, hey, we need to introduce how units who heal do that, so throw them in. Anyway, he's saying he was walking. I feel much better, just not good enough to fight yet. And I have this letter from someone, but it's the letter's for you. And she's like, what? And so she goes to read it, and he thinks it's a thank you letter from the village we just saved. She reads it. Oh no. What's the matter? Take this letter and tell them to prepare. And so she gets bad news in the letter and tells everyone to wait for her to come back and get ready for a battle. And so he runs and tells everyone. But he also read the letter instead of just telling her what they said, and missed your sister, Ike's sister, and Rolf, the younger brother of Boyd and Oscar, have been kidnapped by the bandits you just defeated. They were all the bandits. And finally, you usually kill them. So you killed those bandits, but there was more. And so to get revenge, they kidnapped them. But hearing their brother and sister, respectively, are kidnapped, they're like, we're not waiting. We're going. And then the responsible people, Oscar and Reese, are like, well, we gotta go too. You guys can't take them on your own. So they did not follow orders. But I don't know how you could if your sister or brother were in danger. They start arguing. They break them up. They don't even know where to go. Ike's like, which way do we go? And Oscar's like, oh, the bandit camp is to the left. And like, cool. And that really confuses me too. I'm like, you just know where the bandit camp is? And you just let that happen? I suppose no one paid them to take out the bandit camp, but bandits aren't like, oh, they're mercenaries. We have a code of ethics. We won't attack mercenaries. No, clearly they will. So, like, if they're literally down the road from you, you should probably take care of that. Anyway, they're saying we aren't going to hurt the brats. We just want the redhead, Titania. And Titania's not here, so they're like, well, as a warm-up, we'll kill you guys until she arrives. But they will not threaten the hostages. So, like, you start winning, and they don't just, like, don't attack or we'll kill them. Which is what I would do if I was a bandit, but you know. So it's a new class. Reese is I'll show you. He's a priest, which means he can only heal. He cannot attack. Later games, they can attack. They're usually not great at it, but they can. Like, I think in the Wii one, the one right after this, they can attack with their stick, their healing staff. It does, like, no damage, but they can do it. And then in later games, they usually make healer units able to use one other kind of thing. Not always. Like, there is still units that are just healing. But, like, they introduced units, for instance, that are called maids or butlers. Some kind of servant. And they use daggers or martial arts on top of healing. So it gives them the ability to fight. In my opinion, they're not very good units, but for early game, they're diverse. So this, like I said, this is kind of my theory. I've never like looked into it, but remember I said that Ike holds the sword weird, but it makes sense if you learned from his dad. Well, you see, he's using one hand. What other units have we seen also only use one hand? The axe wielders. So that's kind of like a hint as to why their Ike's stance is so odd. But I won't spoil the reveal. And so this is Mist and Rolf inside. He's scared. He's kind of a crybaby. And she's like, dude, our brothers are going to save us. Chill out. Another aspect of battle in Fire Emblem games is the terrain. So where your unit and the enemy unit start the battle affects stats. So if you meet on equal footing, it's whatever. But say you're fighting someone and they're on top of a mountain and you're at the bottom of a mountain, you have a disadvantage. Or say you're fighting someone, they're out in the open and you're in a tree or a bush, you have an advantage. So wow, that was the worst level up. Nothing happened. I grew nothing. Awesome. What was I saying? So unit placement is another strategy of this game. So like Reese can attack back, so he's vulnerable. So if you can end his turn inside of one of these bushes, his probability of surviving is going to go up. Alright, let's defeat these guys. Obviously, you get more experience for defeating them, being the final hit. So that's another strategy. Say someone's so weak they can only deal like 2 damage. Well, if you can get the enemy to that low, there you go. It's like they did something. Wow, I am unlucky. These are horrible level ups. The level ups I was getting in my practice footage were amazing. I was like, I am so lucky right now. I was getting pluses in almost everything, every level up. You know, one of the worst Final Fantasy games, in my opinion, is Final Fantasy 2, and it has a similar thing where you level up and the stat it increases. If you don't really know how the game works, seems entirely random. They fixed it with the Pixel remaster, I feel like. I feel like it's not too bad on the Pixel remaster. So he's level 4. Okay. We need Boyd to get another level, so we'll weaken him, have Boyd finish him off. Titania has found out we didn't wait, and now she joins the fray. So see, there's no one to heal right now. You want to, if you can, every turn, heal someone. Because the only way for a healer to experience is healing. And it's a set amount. It's like always 11 or always whatever. And so each turn that they didn't heal that turn is a waste. But see, no one's hurt. So unfortunately, this turn was a waste for Reese. And that's because I've been getting horrible level ups. Because usually they get plus 1 HP at least. And then I get to heal them by 1 HP. Which is the same as healing them by like 20. You get the same experience. But yeah, I'm just getting really unlucky right now. Maybe karma will curve to my favor later and I'll be doing real good later. But right now, terrible. See, Lance users have a disadvantage to axe, and so even though I had a decent percent chance to hit, I missed both times. And so we don't want... talking is a thing that usually does stuff. This one does nothing. We don't want Titania to fight him because he'll get no experience. But we also don't want him to attack Reese. So we put a little box around him so he can't attack anyone but them two. And then you can hit A on these people and see how far they can move. So if you stand here with Reese, they can't attack him because they can't move to that spot. I wanted to heal Oscar, but I couldn't risk Reese being out in the open. And luckily, well, not luckily. I mean, Oscar may just die, and I might have to restart this level because he's really hurt. I fucked up. Luckily, swords don't. Oh, and he didn't kill him. Okay, so now I have a wall, so they can only. Yeah. All right, we're good. So turn 1, I'll heal. Or should I say to start at the turn? There we go. There we go. Hopefully he gives us that steel axe that he's using. That'd be nice. Level up. Please be good. No. I had my strength at freaking 9 by now. I did get the axe though. We're gonna trade with him so I can stop throwing stuff away. Get on that. Take that. I may have messed up. I wasn't thinking. I should have attacked with her. Is Reese hurt? Oh yeah, he's real hurt. Okay, so you can rescue units, so we'll save them. Yeah, I messed up. There is a downside to rescuing because you're carrying another unit. Not literally. Sometimes. I mean, the horse people probably carry. But the downgrade is because you have to worry about another person, you're less agile. So you're easier to hit, and it's harder to hit other people. Okay, I'll drop him. Music in these games is usually real good too. So right now he could hit Reese. So if you stand here, he would have to go all the way around, which wastes his movement. So Reese is fine now. Gotta use that strategy. You get a lot more experience for just damaging than normal when it's a boss. And so you're kind of doing good if you're not dealing a lot of damage, but they're not dealing a lot of damage to you. Because it's just free experience. Like you did like 4 damage, leveled up. So you can kind of milk. I guess we're never going to get a +1 in strength. Guess not. That's cool. I like that. I like that. I like that. That's what I like. But look what we have created. He is in a wall. He can't move. So Reese is at least fine. That spot he stood on, I think lore-wise, there's like berries inside the bush, and so he'll heal each turn he's on the bush, but only at the start of his turn, so we're fine. He won't heal this turn. Get that free 11 experience. Let's see if I can finish him off. Yep. Certain characters, when they fight the boss, they'll have extra dialogue to say. Sometimes it's interesting, most of the time it's not. And sometimes they should definitely have extra dialogue for a certain character, and they don't. Like, I remember I was playing Fire Emblem Engage, and there was this one battle where you were fighting said character's father, and when you started the fight, they didn't say anything. It was weird. They're all in trouble. Turns out they left one bandit. If you look in the top right, you'll see someone hiding behind the trees. They're all in danger. He's threatening to kill them. And he's like, if you want these two alive, throw your weapons down. She commands everyone to do as they say, and they put all their weapons down. And you can actually see their little character on screen lose their weapon. Watch. Not like crazy, but I'm like, it's a nice little detail. Now he's like, I'm still gonna freaking kill you guys. And then the guy behind the trees shoots an arrow, saving his life. Everyone thinks Rolf's hurt, but he just fainted because he's a scaredy cat. Imagine almost dying and being scared. What a pussy. That's the person who shot him. His name's Shinnon. He's an archer, as you see. He is awesome. I love him. He's like, I just saved you guys. That's Gotri. He's a heavy armor user. I always thought it was kind of weird, though, because Shinnon is another unit like Titania. He's an advanced unit. But Gotri is introduced at the same time, so it seems like he should be on par. And apparently they do missions together all the time, because they even have a strategy they even named, which you'll see later. But he is not an advanced unit. So... Chapter 3. We're fighting pirates now. We advanced from the bandit stage to the pirate stage. Dad's back. He's reprimanding everyone. Everyone tries to take the blame. He punishes all of them. 10 days staying in their room. They can't leave. But then he's like, but your punishments will be deferred till later because we have work to do. So, no punishment. Such beautiful sprites. So how can you tell he's the leader? He's got the green bandana. Oh, right. I see. Port Talma. So now you get to use the 2 new units. This is the old guy. He's the elder of the village, I believe. I could just be speculating. But they hired us to save them from pirates. And see, they just mentioned they have a way of fighting called Thunder and Lightning. So they have their own thing. But yeah, he's not an advanced unit. So since he is an advanced unit, Shinnon, this battle kind of sucks because that means there's two separate units that you really shouldn't use. So that means you only have 2 units then. So if you follow to the T where like only these units can fight, this battle's tough. But I'll use Shinin if stuff goes wrong. So right now I'm offloading their excess weaponry, so if I get any new weapons during this fight, I don't have to throw something away. I'll save before the fight. Saves me 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Smart. See, I gotta zoom out at the start of every battle. So since she's not fighting anyway, I will use her to visit. This guy's actually important, so I'll highlight him. This town seems unruly when you say it's always this dangerous. Yeah, is it? Oh, it's played by pirates. I see. That would explain why people are so nervous. You appear to be a mercenary. Would I be right in supposing that you were hired to clean out the pirates? Perhaps you should take this. It might help you if you run into trouble. But do hurry. I came all this way to see the famous fish market, and I'll never do so with these ruffians around. Best of luck. One-sided conversation. Titanium didn't get a word edgewise in there. But he, as you saw, is a special person, I guess, is how I would word it. So I figured... excuse me. So I figured I'd highlight him. Watch when he steps. Boom, boom. I can only imagine the weight of that armor. You know, a thing I always thought would be interesting, because he's a knight, and then knights can turn into generals, which are severely heavy versions of the already heavy unit. But I always thought it'd be neat if they introduced like a general, but they had the ability to spend a turn to strip all their armor off, and now they're defenseless. But kind of like in Dragon Ball Z, when Piccolo or someone takes off their weighted clothing, they are crazy fast and agile now. I thought that could be a cool, not dynamic, but feature they could introduce to make knights more, not unique, more stuff you could do with the knights. They're more versatile. I think in their eyes, the Great Knight, because you can either turn into a Great Knight or a General in most Fire Emblem games from a Knight. The Great Knight is like a heavy... Oh, critical. A heavy version of the horse, the Paladin. So they're slower than the horse, but much faster than a General, without getting rid of too much defense. So I guess in their theory, like, if you want to have agility, turn into that instead of a General. But I think it'd just be a neat feature. So see, Shinin's really strong. So you're like, why did they attack him? Well, archers can attack melee in this game, so he is a vulnerable unit. So people will always go for him, but he is so strong that they're not going to do anything. So he's really good to just throw out there in the early game if you want to protect someone else, because they're going to attack him. Unless there's like a healer around, or that they're like, ooh, healer. Oh, finally. I was like, can we kill this axe guy? Miss. Yeah, of course. No, it's crazy. If you don't know a lot about Fire Emblem, is this Fire Emblem. No, excuse me. Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones was the first released in North America. Once again, I believe. It could have been the remake, which was essentially just a translation port of the first Fire Emblem that came out in America on Game Boy Advance, just called Fire Emblem. Could be. But regardless, when we finally got Fire Emblem, it was Fire Emblem 8. So there was so many games we never got to experience because they just never left Japan. And I don't know, I just never understood it. Like, sure, certain games, maybe they're so Japan-centric that you could see that it would probably not make a lot of money overseas. Nowadays, everyone plays everything, but back then. But this is literally just warfare. Americans love warfare. Like, it doesn't make any sense we were held back from it for so long. And like I said, these are fictional. It's a fictional world. And so there's no even like, oh, you need to know this Japanese mythology or this Japanese sentiment for the game to make sense. There's none of that. If anything, this is closer to medieval Europe. So, never made sense to me. They get it now. You know, all the Fire Emblem games come out in America now, but all games come out everywhere nowadays, unless they don't get translated. But I mean, I've seen some bottom of the barrel games that still get a translation. So if I attack, I could die this turn. So we're not gonna attack, but we are gonna use that to raise my max HP, and then we're gonna put her next to him to limit how many people can attack on this turn. That's Marcia. Apparently they tricked her into thinking they had her brother, but they said they threw her brother overboard. And she's like, you bastards. And so now there's a third faction also fighting the same enemy. So since they're fighting the same enemy, they're, you know, enemy of my enemy is my friend. So she's an ally. Just, she's green. The circle underneath her is green. So it means she won't attack you. You can't attack them, but you can't control her either. They move in their own AI. Critical. You're like, oh, what? So criticals in this game do triple damage. So it's almost always you're going to kill them. But I always thought it was funny, like, in later games they fixed this, but in the early games, why did it do triple damage? Well, you see, before I struck my foe, I twirled my sword. Oh, my bad. That makes sense. But in later ones, they do like crazy maneuvers with the critical. You're like, okay, yeah, that would do it. They did a really good job with magic users, especially because a critical in these early games with a magic user, instead of just like throwing their hand and throwing a spell out, they put their hand in the air first and then throw out their hand. I'm like, whoa. But in the newer ones, a crit with a magic user is a sight to behold. It looks cool. You know, instead of like throwing a fireball, you throw like a fucking meteor. Yeah, that would do more damage. Archers are my favorite critical users in the newer games. Oh my god, increase your strength. Sweet Jesus. Because they'll jump in the air like 20 feet, which is impressive in and of itself, and then shoot the arrow down. That makes sense. You have a better angle, right? So like say if they had a shield or something, you're hitting from above. But also, gravity you're not gonna lose velocity as quickly because gravity's assisting the shot. But I digress. So all the enemies are dead. Now we gotta go to the boat. We don't want her to get killed, so I'm gonna send Titania to body block. In newer games, that one experience I got for dodging, you wouldn't get. In newer games, if you did not deal damage, you do not get experience. I'm like, but I dodged. So, Ike's max distance. Shinnon was in the way, so we'll move Shinnon. You can shove units too. Give them one extra movement, you know. And certain units, I don't think this game, maybe not this game, but certain units in the Wii version I know have a enhanced shove called Smite, I think. And it pushes them 2 spaces. So, cool, I guess. It helps with strategy. Okay, so what you do is you go to Marcia and talk to her with Ike. And you essentially say, hey, we'll take care of the pirates, you can leave. And she's like, okay, well, I'm this person. Oh, you're that person? Okay, well, I'll remember you. Thanks for helping me out. I'll show you gratitude somehow. I'll pay back my debt. And she leaves. Usually what happens is they'll join. Now you can control them in this fight. But this one, she just really cared if they were going to get punished, and so she's like, I'm out. I took the chance of missing more likely, but if both hit, he'll die, so I thought that was a good trade-off. Didn't kill him, but I had the opportunity to kill him. Boomerang axe would be crazy cool. All hand axes in this game come back that way. Well, I shouldn't say this game. In every Fire Emblem game. But that'd be neat if we had axes that really did that. Because I know boomerangs exist. But an axe is not shaped in any shape or form that would make it come back. But imagine trying to catch that thing, because axes are heavy. You're like, okay, it's coming at 30 miles per hour. It's spinning at a velocity. Okay, so... And my hand fell off. Damn. I tried. Because I know they have bladed boomerangs. But they're not as heavy. So I feel like, at worst, you're going to get a cut. Which sucks. And yeah, I could definitely remove stuff, but an axe coming back and you messing up that catch, you're screwed. Yeah, earlier this year I played the new Yakuza Pirates game, and in Yakuza games you can do a heat moment, which is like a special, I guess you'd want to call it that. And in Yakuza games, if you're with a certain unit or a companion, oh, you're dead. You can do a special heat action, and usually with each person it's different. Well, in this game, if you did a heat action with the chef of your ship, he threw his sword. It's a big sword. It's kind of like a gigantic kitchen utensil. So like those fancy knives that destroy tuna as if they were made out of paper, you know? He throws that at the enemy. It hits them and continues to fly past them. And then your unit catches it and throws it back, so it hits the guy again. But now that giant blade is going at the guy who threw it the first time. And the animation, he catches it right before it hits his face. And then in the sheer shock, he falls over like he passed out or whatever. And I just thought, I was like... And then your character's like, sorry, my bad. And every time it happened, I'm like, that's so dangerous. Now Shinin and Godtree are saying, we're way stronger than normal mercenaries. Why are we wasting our time doing this lowly stuff? These people aren't strong. And it's true. It's true. The units of this mercenary group are far stronger than just being used for simple bandits. And Titania's like, hey, we help people. I want you to be proud of that. And they're like, oh, you're right. I apologize. And then Ike, showing his heart of gold, is like, hey, Titania. And she's like, what is it? Hey, if you want us to have pride, I have it. Me and my father kept... You and my father have kept this group together. And I'm proud to be a part of it. And she's like, oh. And Shinin's like, what a pussy. What's wrong with being famous and getting money? True, Shinin. True. They kind of set him up like in a different game or movie or storyline. He would be the one who sells you out for money. But no, he's loyal. Just not a good guy, I guess you would say. Like, deep down he is. But his outside is not. This is an important character for the story. Apparently they're good friends with Ike. Because Miss immediately runs to tell you, like, oh, it's Soren's back. And so Soren is back. Apparently he was studying at university to be better at casting spells. But he's back early. And so they're all going to the briefing room to find out what Soren said. And Ike's like, hey, what's this about? And Soren's like, it ain't good. And so apparently, as he explains, is while he was at the capital of Crimea studying, they were attacked by the Dane. And it was a surprise attack. They were not enemies to start this out. The Dane literally surprise attacked them at the capital, wiping like everyone out. And then this left blue dot is where we are, and the right is the capital. And so they're kind of showing you that, like, we may not be fighting for anyone but ourselves, but this is too close for it not to affect us. And so Soren's explaining that they were surrounded by the Dane army in an instant. There was no provocation. They were never friendly, but they were never enemies. Like, literally for hundreds and hundreds of years, they've never been at war. But anyway, so they attacked them for no reason. Brutal, attacking anyone, not just soldiers. This is the leader of the Dane army, and you wonder if he's evil or not. So this is the leader of the Crimea army's brother. He kind of runs the army. And the king ordered everyone to flee the city. But Soren immediately left to come inform us, and it is a 3-day trip to get here. So this, whatever happened, we don't know. It's been 3 days. If they were able to defeat them, if they were wiped out, we have no idea. And now they're saying, what should we do? And so Titania explains that, like, we've made a lot of money from Crimea. They always hire us. And so for a moral standpoint, they weren't, there was no provocation, so they're a victim. And from a business standpoint, we should be on their side as well. And then Soren's like, no, we weren't paid. We shouldn't help. And so Gale's like, you would just see our homeland get overrun? He's like, yeah. He's like, the Dane army's superior. We can't win. And then Titania's like, our king is known for his wisdom. Surely he can get... They will not lose so easily. And Soren's like, yeah, you can have all the valor and courage you want, but if one side has more military might than yours, it doesn't matter. And so they're kind of arguing. And then Grail's like, I heard what you said. However, we need to know what's going on. So let's head to the capital as a scouting party. But he wants Ike to lead the scouting party. And Soren's like, are you kidding me? He's literally been on like 2 missions. But he is the father of the leader. And even though they're just a mercenary group, it's expected that he'll take over this group at some point. So he needs to get used to leading. Your sister gave you a sword that the father gave to her to give to you. It's a good sword. It's good. And she's like, give me a souvenir while you're there. He's like, we're at war. As long as we're equally spaced out, no one will think we're gay. Are you feeling alright, Ike? You haven't said shit. And he's like, why am I leading? And then Reese is like, bruh, you're gonna be the commander. Oh, okay. But I'm inexperienced. And he's like, dude, your dad's the shit. I think you're the shit too. Essentially what he just said. And he's like, if you fear your own weakness, why not take this chance and better yourself? Right? Yeah, okay. How did things look over there, Soren? You know, the 5 feet you were away? Corpses everywhere. And they're like, are they ours? And no, by the armor, they're Dane. They're like, oh, so that's good news. He's like, no. Why would such a strong unit be so far away from the capital? It means they fled. Alright, now Dane people are moving towards us. Look at them. Look at them. Zigzags. Hear that music? Good shit, man. Majin. He's Majin Buu. She's like, hey, we're not fighting you. He's like, you're armed. Drop your weapons and surrender. And they're like, what? We're not. We're just chilling. Oh, you're not dropping your weapons? Alright, kill them all. And so instantly there is no like, oh, maybe Crimea did something behind the scenes to make Dane do this. No. Danes are, they're assholes. And he's like, what should we do? And he's like, Soren and Shinnon use range, so let's put non-range people ahead of them. And they're like, brilliant. That's such a good strategy. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Makes sense at least. So I'm just unloading another item. You can't even use axes, so I might as well free up. Take the vulnerary so I can heal myself. Let's see if anyone else needs to unload. No, no, no. No, no, no. Okay. Does everyone have a vulnerary? Yep. Let's actually unload one of her. Okay. Good to me. This would be my last battle for this video. Let's make it a good one. Okay. Yeah, because until the game really gets going, you know, the game is just okay. Like, if you like turn-based strategies, it's an okay one. But once the game gets going, you're like, yeah, this is good. I like this. So we're trying to get to the good parts as quick as possible. There is a thing that will happen soon that is a major turning point. And that's when it's like the game has started. Unfortunately, we won't get to it in this video, but it will make the start of next video cool. So Soren's spell, he's pretty strong. But spell people are glass cannons. If you don't know what that term means, it means they deal a lot of damage, but they take a lot of damage. So I keep them in bushes and just hope for the best. Man. Until you get better with a weapon, unless you have a high speed stat, you'll only attack once. And to get better is just you gotta use the weapon. And so that's why I only attacked once just now. It sucks. Alright, let's block off you being able to attack Reese. Okay. No one hurt. He's hurt. That's it. I can't even reach him though. So let's see. Okay, I'm not in danger. So we'll wait. He's hurt. And so his AI told him to go heal, which is cool. They don't always do that. You can't hit me, fool. What do you think this is? Axburst has no hope of finishing him. Psych. He probably had like insanely low % chance. I'm just getting lit up. If I had an iron bow equipped instead of the steel, I probably wouldn't have got hit just there, because steel weighs more than iron, and so you're less maneuverable. So if he was using the iron bow, he probably would have dodged some of those hits. When enemies start being able to hit you twice, just like you hit them twice, that's when shit gets scary. Yeah, see, Gotri, since he's a heavy unit, his speed's really low. So you gotta really train them to be able to hit more than once. There you go. I always wanted a Fire Emblem game that was like rated M. Like, because it kind of cartoonifies war. Like, cause, like I said, most of the time you don't even know if you actually killed the enemy. Like, are you killing them? Are you just weakening them? What's going on? But I feel like if I should probably move. So, oh, this sucks. How far can you go? Okay, so if we move here, he can heal me. What was I saying? Oh, because a lot of times you don't even know if you're actually defeating them. And then in some games, they use that to their benefit, where at the end of the match, they're like, oh, somehow we didn't have no casualties. You're like, what? Because you didn't want to actually kill them. They just misunderstanding. They fought you. But I feel like if you made the games real depictions of war, make it gory like war is, I think it would intensify the weight of what you're doing. Because certain games you can kind of do what you want, not like a full-on make your own choice RPG, but more or less do what you want. And I feel like the weight of your choices would be felt more if you saw the brutality of war. Also, this game is really built on the fact that if your unit dies, they're gone. And so you could build a relationship, quote unquote, with a unit, and one mistake happened and now they're gone unless you restart the level with a save. And I feel like with brutality involved, losing that unit would have a lot more weight. You know, imagine someone just kind of went down on one knee because they lost the fight, but they look perfectly fine, and they're like, I don't think I'm going to make it out of this one, and then poof, they're out of they're gone. So they died. But imagine if they're like coughing up blood, like, oh, I can't do it. Oh. And then you're like, no, not Steve. I love Steve. You know, I know it's Nintendo. They're not going to do that. But I always felt like if someone modded it into one of the games, it would be a good idea. I think it's a good idea. I'm probably have to restart this level. This should kill me. Yep. Oh, blessed goddess, please look after those. And he's dead. Yeah, I knew it was a risk sending him up there to heal, but I just really wanted him to heal someone. I was playing it too fast and loose. My fault, my fault. So a classic strategy, taking it slow, is to form a garrison, I guess you would say, to where they can't get to your units. Like literally, they can't. I built it kind of wrong, but I'll fix it. But you build your units to where they literally can only attack the melee guys. The only issue with it is when you're playing missions that are turn-based. I don't know why it's a turn-based. They have a certain amount of turns you have to beat or meet a certain requirement or you'll lose. Then you can't. You gotta, you know, play strategic and fast. But this one doesn't have a turn limit, so I'm not gonna take a risk again. I'm just gonna take it slow. I mean, if I wanted to like play fast and lose, I would have to use Shannon and Titania, but I really don't want to. The thing I should have explained earlier, the weaker the weapon, the easier it is to hit someone with, 9 times out of 10. So like, you're like, why would I use the iron lance instead of the steel lance? The steel does way more damage. Well, the iron has a higher hit percent, and it's cheaper than the other weapon, so you don't waste the uses of your good weapon, because in this game your weapon breaks if you use it too much, which I always hated. I hate it in every game. It's the only really critique I have of Breath of the Wild is losing your weapons. I hate it. I hate it so much. That's why I hate most survival games. Like, oh, I took me how many hours to get this resources to build this sword, and then I used the sword like 5 times, and now I don't have it. Cool. I like that. So I'm about to get hit by a bow user, but he can only do like 8 damage in 1 turn, so Reese will be okay. And I switched to the iron bow, so I'll have a higher chance of dodging. Oh, 10 damage. Still. I'm fine. In some games, the healer can get an ability where when they heal someone, they heal themselves too. That's nice to have. Soren gets strong, but you gotta work with them. It takes commitment to get Soren good. And he's one of the units I explained that if they die, they're still in the story. You just can't use them to fight. So I would say it's very common for your first playthrough or whatever for Soren to be one of the units you've lost. So oh, critical. So I would ascertain that a lot of people never even find out that he's really strong. You just gotta build him. I don't want Reese to be attacked again, so I'm getting rid of him. Look how much experience I got. Whoa! Whoa, man. That's cool. Okay, now I'm going to move a little to bring all the boys to the yard. Because that's why they haven't moved towards me. I'm not close enough. So we're going to lure them towards me, my garrison. My Mr. Garrison. Bow down to Titania. My plan failed, by the way. I wanted to lure them, not Titania kill everyone. Oh well. But you could see how it could be a hard vice to not indulge in, because she's so strong. Like, why wouldn't I just use her? GG's, it's a win. Because later on, she can't just take everyone. So you need some people to help her. How far can you go? So we'll go to his limit. Yeah, I had to make like a slapdash defense point because I just don't have enough units right now. Later on, you'll be using like 10 plus. Get out of here, Ike. Ugh. He was hurt by 2. He had to run to heal. There we go. Level 6, 7, 8, 9. Still no strength. I had 10 strength by now. Last playthrough. I'm unlucky. I didn't want to use the Regal Sword right now, but it's the only way to get a kill in one turn. My dog is whining. Because he's a suck tit. Hey, look at that. That's a decent level up. I mean, defense and HP would have been nice, but I can't complain. How far can everyone go? I should explain that since we have a magic user now. So magic kind of has the rock paper scissors too. They have fire, wind, and lightning. And they kind of have a system similar to the triangle. And then there's also light and dark, and they just directly inverse each other. But they do more things. So like fire's good against human-based units, and wind is good against air-based units, and so on. So they do a little more than just affect themselves. See if Soren or Reese are in danger. Soren is. Not anymore. That his Ike's up B in Super Smash Brothers. It's similar to it. Similar to it. So, see, that's a special lance that he has. It's called the Night Killer. And so it does extra damage to horse-based units. Certain weapons do that. Like, I'll show you the Regal Sword has an ability to. So, Regal Sword. As you see in the bottom, it does extra damage against heavily armored, like Gotri, or horse, like Titania. So it's a neat weapon. That's why I don't want to use a lot of it. My strength went up. Blessed day. So let's move here. And here. Hey, look at it. Both safe. Ike's ready to go now. You're nothing more than cell swords. You refuse to listen to us and then attack without provocation. Is this the way of the Dane army? You little monkey. Ow. Cheeky little monkey. Okay, we're gonna heal. And now I'll show you the Regal Sword. So, normal sword, 0 damage twice. Not great. Regal Sword, 8 damage twice. So, you could be like, oh, well, swords aren't good against lances. Well, the abilities of a weapon can make up for it. There you go. $62 experience, not bad. Did we suffer any casualties? No. Well done. Maybe find them was a bad move. Now Shannon is looting their corpse. Shannon! Get a hold of yourselves. What? You judgments a little? We must tell father what happened. Let's take this road. Huh? Something wrong? No, this road. Wait, something's on the far side of the thicket. Let's have a look. Oh no. Did you find anything? It's a woman. Leave her. Alencia. Thank goodness she's just fainted. And Ike's like, we're taking her with us. And Soren's like, I don't like it. I hate people. But that is where we will continue for the next one. Thank you for watching this. And we will start Chapter 5, Flight, in the next one. Goodbye.